Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of TG Geeks Webcast, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, and you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, your producer and sound engineer. Let's go to Ben so he can introduce what we have in store for you this week.
Well, today, as of this recording, Saturday, August 9th, marks the 45th anniversary of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion is one of the more popular rides in all of the Disney theme parks. It should also be noted that Walt had started talking about this project before he died, and then it languished and was in the works for more than 7 years. It is also one of our favorite rides, Keith and I. We love visiting the mansion, and we recite all of the narration that is spoken by the ghost host. Our friends over at micechat.com have a nice little write-up and more about the plans that Disney has to celebrate the mansion with 999 happy haunts. Now, as reported by Variety on Saturday, August 9th, Paramount's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came in ahead of Disney's Guardians of the Galaxy on Friday. The Turtle adventure opened at $25.6 million and is on track for a much higher than anticipated $62 million to $65 million this weekend. Analysts had expected the film to debut just north of $40 million. The rebooted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes with a hefty $125 million budget. Now, ComingSoon.net reports that Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy had a record-setting $94.3 million domestic debut on August 1st and had a total domestic gross of $126.8 million. The momentum of Guardians of the Galaxy has lifted the Walt Disney Studios to several box office milestones this week. For starters, Disney moved into second place in domestic market share as of August 6th and will reach $1 billion in box office today. This is the 9th consecutive year and 18th year overall that the studio has reached the $1 billion threshold. Secondly, on August 4th, the studio reached the $2 billion mark at the international box office for the 5th consecutive year and in company record time, surpassing last year's record by nearly 3 weeks. Lastly, Disney's theatrical slate has pushed the studio to $3 billion globally for the 5th consecutive year and the 8th time ever, achieved on August 5th. It also represents the fastest the studio has reached this threshold. So what does this all mean? Well, it simply means that I get to say millions and billions several times, which is great fun for me. My mother thanks you. And now let us go into the world of new movies, starting with a few that have just been released. James Cameron Deep Sea 3D Challenge, sounds like a game, came out on August 8th. It follows the dramatic story of James Cameron's Odyssey as he undertakes an expedition to the deepest part of the ocean. This is a journey of historic proportion and risk. The film will mesmerize viewers of all ages with the thrill of true discovery and the allure of the unknown, of new life forms, and of vistas never before captured on camera, all right here on Earth. Next up is The Congress. More than 2 decades after catapulting to stardom with The Princess Bride, an aging actress, Robin Wright, playing a version of herself, decides to take her final job, preserving her digital likeness for a future Hollywood. Through a deal brokered by her loyal longtime agent, played by Harvey Keitel, and the head of Miramount Studios, played by Danny Houston, her alias will be controlled by the studio and will star in any film they want with no restrictions. In return, she receives healthy compensation so she can care for her ailing son, and her digitized character will stay forever young. 20 years later, under the creative vision of the studio's head animator, played by John Hamm, Wright's digital double rises to immortal stardom. With her contract expiring, she is invited to take part in the Congress Convention, as she makes her comeback straight into the world of future fantasy cinema. This movie will be released to theaters August 29th and is already available in iTunes. Lastly, we have Septic Man. From the creators of Monster Brawl, Exit Humanity, and Pontypool comes this award-winning, yes, I did say award-winning, origin story of Jack, a sewage worker who's determined to uncover the cause of the town's water contamination crisis. But when he becomes trapped underground in a septic tank without food or water, he undergoes a hideous and repulsive transformation. In order to escape the tank, he must team up with a docile giant and confront a murdering madman. Septic Man is a cinematic odyssey into the darkest depths of horror and beyond. It will be released into theaters August 15th and is already available in iTunes. Now, these are the movies that are already out in some form or another. And after the break, we will cover movies that will be coming out in the very near and not so very near future.
You can find culture at the theater. You can find culture in the bottom of an unwashed coffee mug. Or you can find culture on your iPod. Join Brad, Glenn, and Christina on Pod Culture, Equal Opportunity Geekness. Go to www.podculture.net.
All right, give Podculture a listen. And now we're back to Ben.
And now we will go over several movies that will be coming out in the future. The Giver is the haunting story of a young man named Jonas who lives in a seemingly ideal, if somewhat colorless, world of conformity and contentment. Not until he is given his life assignment as the receiver of memory does he begin to understand the dark, complex secrets behind his fragile community. The film is based on Lois Lowry's beloved young adult novel of the same name, which was the winner of the 1994 Newbery Medal and has sold over 10 million copies worldwide. The Giver stars Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep and will be released to theaters on August 15th. Now we have Ragnarok. Now this is for those of you who like your foreign monster movies. Ragnarok is about an archaeologist who is convinced the Oseberg Viking ship contains the answer to the mystery of Ragnarok, the end of days in Norse mythology. He mounts an expedition to no man's land between Norway and Russia, which holds a secret more terrifying than he could possibly imagine. Ragnarok will arrive on August 15th. Will anyone survive? Next up, acclaimed director Terry Gilliam, who made Brazil, 12 Monkeys, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, returns with the visually stunning sci-fi epic The Zero Theorem, starring award winner Christoph Waltz as Uhen, an eccentric and reclusive computer genius. Living in isolation, Uhen is obsessively working on a mysterious project personally delegated to him by management, and that's with a capital M, played by Matt Damon, aimed at discovering the meaning of life, or the complete lack of one, once and for all. Increasingly disturbed by visits from people he doesn't fully trust, including the flirtatious Baines Lee, played by Melanie Thierry, his unpredictable supervisor Job, played by David Thewlis, and would-be digital therapist Dr. Shrink Ram, played by Tilda Swinton. It is only when he experiences the power of love and desire that he's able to understand his own reason for being. The Zero Theorem will be available in iTunes on August 19th and in theaters September 19th. Now, from Guillermo del Toro and director Jorge Gutierrez comes an animated comedy with a unique visual style. The Book of Life is the journey of Manolo, a young man who is torn between fulfilling the expectations of his family and following his heart. Before choosing which path to follow, he embarks on an incredible adventure that spans 3 fantastical worlds where he must face his greatest fears. Rich with a fresh take on pop music favorites, The Book of Life encourages us to celebrate the past while looking forward to the future. Hey, they had me at Guillermo del Toro. The Book of Life opens October 17th. The Theory of Everything, starring Eddie Redmayne from Les Miserables and Felicity Jones from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is the extraordinary story of one of the world's greatest living minds, the renowned astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, who falls deeply in love with fellow Cambridge student Jane Wilde. Once a healthy, active young man, Hawking received an earth-shattering diagnosis at 21 years of age. With Jane fighting tirelessly by his side, Stephen embarks on his most ambitious scientific work, studying the very thing he now has precious little of: time. Together they defy impossible odds, breaking new ground in medicine and science, and achieving more than they could have ever dreamed. The film is based on the memoir Traveling to Infinity, My Life with Stephen, by Jane Hawking, and is directed by Academy Award winner James Marsh, who also did Man on Wire. And while there has already been a movie based on the young Stephen Hawking's life starring Benedict Cumberbatch, that previous movie pretty much focused on Stephen as he was pursuing his doctorate in cosmology, all the while battling ALS. This movie chooses instead to place focus on his personal life and his relationship with Jane. The Theory of Everything opens in theaters November 7th. Also opening November 7th is Big Hero 6, the latest movie to come out of Walt Disney Animation Studios. I just have 2 words for you: balloon robot. Need I say more? We here at DG Squared Studios are so all over that movie. Now we have Interstellar, a movie by Christopher Nolan, and is about a group of explorers who make use of a newly discovered wormhole to surpass the limitations on human space travel and conquer the vast distances involved in an interstellar voyage. It has been reported that Christopher Nolan worked closely with astrophysicists in order to achieve the most authentic, speculative movie possible, and has been rumored to deal with many elegant theories, including the superstring theory. Interstellar also launches November 7th. Now we have Into the Woods, starring Meryl Streep, Emily Blunt, James Corden, Anna Kendrick, and Chris Pine. Into the Woods is a humorous and heartfelt musical that follows the classic tale of Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, and Rapunzel, all tied together by an original story involving a baker and his wife, and their wish to begin a family and their interaction with the witch who has put a curse on them. Families can travel into the woods on Christmas Day. Now we have the second best exotic Marigold Hotel. And the only reason we are reviewing this one is because Keith and I saw the first movie, the exotic Marigold Hotel, and we loved it. Anyway, this one is about the expansionist dream of Sunny, played by Dave Patel, and it's making more claims on his time than he has available, considering his imminent marriage to the love of his life, Sunia, played by Tina Desai. Sunny has his eye on a promising property now that his first adventure, the best exotic Marigold Hotel for the elderly and beautiful, well, it only has a single remaining vacancy, posing a rooming predicament for fresh arrivals, Guy and Lavinia, played respectively by Richard Gere and Tasman Grieg. Evelyn and Douglas, played by Judi Dench and Bill Nye, have now joined the hyper workforce and are wondering where their regular dates for Chia Pancakes will lead, while Norman and Carol, played by Ronald Pickup and Diana Hardcastle, are negotiating the tricky waters of an exclusive relationship, all the while Madge, played by Celia Imrie, juggles 2 eligible and very wealthy suitors. Perhaps the only one who may know the answers is newly installed co-manager of the hotel, Muriel, played by Maggie Smith, the keeper of everyone's secrets. As the demands of a traditional Indian wedding threaten to engulf them all, an unexpected way forward presents itself. You can check into the second best exotic Marigold Hotel on March 6th, 2015. Lastly, the latest reboot rage, or is it a sequel? Movie to come along, is Mad Max Fury Road. Max, haunted by his turbulent past, believes the best way to survive is to wander alone. Nevertheless, he becomes swept up with a group of people fleeing across the wasteland in a war rig, driven by an elite imperator named Furiosa. They are escaping a citadel tyrannized by Immortan Joe, from whom something irreplaceable has been taken. Enraged, the warlord marshals all of his gangs and pursues the rebels ruthlessly in the high-octane road war that follows. This latest Mad Max film cruises into theaters May 15th, 2015. That's 5/15/15, in case you have trouble remembering it.
Okay, that should do it this week from TG Squared Studios. Remember to leave us a comment on Facebook or on our website, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. Thank you for listening to this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. For Ben Raggington, I am Keith Lane. Peace.
Cheers!